anti-missile defense system was successful in intercepting those rockets. Meanwhile, the U.S. says it is investigating the deaths of 10 civilians in a strike it launched on Sunday. The country claims the goal was to prevent a suicide attack. Olivia Salazar-Winspear has the latest.
Burnt-out remains of a vehicle which, according to Afghan media, was used to launch rockets here in Kabul. It's just the latest attack in Afghanistan after days of chaos and fatal violence, and has left local residents shaken.
بازمی راکت پراگنی های دههای قبلی باز تکرار میشه و به خاطر مردم هم کم ترسیده و وحشت زده هستند ولی به هر حالش میگذره.
The Islamic State group claimed responsibility for firing 6 rockets at the airport on Monday. U.S. officials say their anti-missile defenses intercepted as many as 5 of those projectiles. This comes after an American drone strike hit an individual in the Afghan capital on Sunday, who they suspected of preparing an attack on behalf of the Islamic State Khorasan group. There were reports the strike caused civilian casualties too, which the U.S. military is investigating. The Pentagon had said they were anticipating further attacks after Thursday's suicide bomb at the airport, which killed 13 U.S. servicemen and more than 100 Afghan civilians. President Biden reiterated on Monday that commanders should redouble their efforts to prioritize doing whatever is necessary to protect those forces on the ground. This comes as only hours remain before the full withdrawal of all U.S. and foreign troops from Afghanistan, and those hoping to flee the new Taliban regime are racing to evacuate before that deadline.
Well, for the very latest, let's go to France 24's Cyril Payan, who joins us from the Afghan capital. Cyril, good evening. What is the atmosphere like tonight in Kabul?
Well, I can tell you it looks like we are in a momentum here. Time is really accelerating. We just have been experiencing where I'm standing in central Kabul on the roof of the hotel where we have been staying for the past days, a series of heavy shooting actually around us. And now while I'm speaking to you, they are in the dark, a dozen of Taliban militants who are here trying to secure the area. They have been positioning themselves at the corners of the places where I'm standing now, just maybe to counterattack or to defend the hotel, while there is this heavy shooting which just occurred around us. So it gives an idea of the high volatility tonight, the tension, while we are really feeling that this is the end of the evacuations going on now in the sky of Kabul. We have been seeing and hearing some low-level flight patrolling, U.S. Air Force flight patrolling, circling around the sky of Kabul at a very low level, so it's extremely noisy. It gives a very weird and strange impression with regards to the Afghan people who are just waiting the final hours of the American prison. So this is maybe, and it looks like it's the sign of the final stage of the evacuation. It looks like it may be the sign that the Delta Force, the commandos, the elite forces of the American forces are already on the ground 2 kilometers away from where I'm standing at the military airport of Kabul to start the final stage, which is the evacuating the final soldiers, the Marines, and then they will be evacuating themselves probably before dawn tomorrow. So it will be the end of 20 years of presence of the American troops in Afghanistan. And it's just happening now while I'm talking to you here in the Afghan capital.
Cyril, as you mentioned, history unfolding in the Afghan capital tonight. As you also mentioned, hours before the final deadline for the complete evacuation, the U.S. Marines now on their way out of the city. What happens to those who cannot leave?
where it's really very becoming a real issue indeed here in Afghanistan, in Kabul, but also we know in capital cities in the West, in Paris, in Washington, in London, about what have been wrong with this evacuation regarding thousands of people who are still stuck here. I've been able to meet 10 of the French army collaborators, translators. We are hiding for days in the outskirts of Kabul, and we met clandestinely yesterday to just explain and show. They explain their cases and show the paperwork they have been through, the process to be able to go through this gate at the airport to be airlifted safely in France. They were just eligible to have access to France and having protection from France, but they are just stuck, and they were not able to get there, and we have no news whatsoever from any of the French officials. So they were, we could feel some bitterness, some tension in the spirit of these people who just feel betrayed and stuck here in Kabul, and also they say they are chased by the Taliban. We get the list of thousands of people who have been collaborating with the West or Western agencies, which for the Taliban, in the eyes of the Taliban, are considered enemies.